Hello guys, this is Kofi again and welcome back to building page templates for Concrete5. And I'm going to continue my series that I did on uh, creating a simple blog for Concrete5. In my previous video, I showed you how to actually build the blog template, and the blog works as we can see here. You click and it leads you to the main page itself. And this page here, which I called news, is going to display a list of blog entry previews. So my goal in this video is to try and get this page looking something like this, so that there's a preview for each with a short description and a read more button, and the image I want it to span the entire width of my column. So if you remember, I have a right sidebar PHP which I'm using for this page, and that right sidebar PHP has an article with a class of column SM6. So I'm trying to get this image to span across. Now, before I get into all the heavy lifting that I'm going to be doing in CSS, I first want to take care of some of the style conflicts that I have, because my page theme, or this page template, is picking up styles that I don't want it to. And so my simple fix for that is to go to my right sidebar.php page, and I'm going to turn these articles into mere divs, because I'm using the article tag in my CSS for my homepage, and I think that was what was causing that conflict. So some of you may not ever see, your page look this bad, but I just wanted to do this and then have a bare bones look like this, and that way I'm able to build it from scratch. All right, now I've taken the liberty to inspect this page and see what things are called. How is Concrete5 feeding or injecting classes to style this? So I looked at it and I discovered that there are a couple of divs. Like this thumbnail has a class CCM block page list page entry thumbnail. The description also has a div that wraps around it. That's a CCM block page list title. And I noticed that for both the blog page list title and also for my blog page list entry thumbnail, there were a couple of things that I noticed. It had a default setting of display table cell, and my intention, as you can see in my design, is to bump the description down below the image. And because this was using the property display table cell and the value table cell, it's not able to move down there easily unless I turn it into a display block. So as you can probably see here, once I start moving, changing things to a display block, hopefully I'm able to, and I'll do this in my CSS for you to see. Once I change it to display block, it becomes way easier to style. So I have in my style sheets created some code and basically just using the CCM block list page entry thumbnail, which is for this thumbnail, and then also calling the block page list page entry text. So I guess this one, yep. So you notice that that also has a display table cell, and I have giving it a display block, and I'm saying important so that it overrides what Concrete5 is doing, and I'm giving it both of them a width of 100% and a padding of 0. So I'm going to refresh this, and as you can see, that already fixes a great deal. All right, so I have forced again, if you look at the code on line 154, I am calling the thumbnail and I am calling the width of the image in that thumbnail, which again you can see here. All right, so CCM block page list page entry thumbnail, and then that is a parent of an IMG, and so I'm just calling that image, and I'm giving it a width of 100%. So essentially, these few lines of code here are able to move me from my previous state where I was to this state, which is very close to what I actually want to accomplish in my design. All right. Now, there are a couple of other things that I want to do. If you notice, my image is not clickable, so I can't currently click on the image and go to the main article page. I can only click on my title over there. All right, but I want to be able to click on the image, and the other thing that I want to do is to be able to add a read more button here, and then also potentially demonstrate how if I added another blog entry, how is it going to automatically just add a horizontal line or rule to it as a separator. Okay, so to do all that, let's begin with making the image clickable. I'm going to need to go into my folder, and my project folder, I'm going to go into that, and I'm going to go into the concrete directory, and I will go into blocks, and I will go to the page list block. So the page list block is currently what is being used over here, and I'm going to copy the view.php file, go back into htdocs, and then go into my project folder again, and this time I'm going to go to the application directory, to blocks, and I will create a page list folder similar to where I copied the view.php from, and I'll paste the view.php here. So what I've just done is I'm trying to create an override. So this new page list that exists under applications is going to be considered before the one that exists in Concrete5. So basically any changes that I make to my view.php here is going to take precedence over the one that exists in the Concrete directory. All right. So currently you are not going to see any change just because I haven't done anything different to the view.php. So let's do that. All right. Now if I scroll, I'm going to try and find where this title is actually linking, because I'm going to copy the PHP script that generates the link, and I'm going to wrap it around my image. So that's my goal here. So I'm just going to keep scrolling. Or a simple way to find it is to inspect and then look at the class that they are using, CCM block page list title. I'm going to copy that, and I would paste it in here, and I found one result which is right here. Okay, so here's where the blog page list title is being generated, and there you can see I have an A tag that is echoing the URL when I build it in Concrete5, and this URL wraps around the title, which is what I have here. So I'm going to copy this A tag all the way up to the end of it, which is right here. Okay, so just make sure you let me just bring this down for you to be able to see it clearly. The A tag, the opening A tag starts from here and it ends over there. All right, so this was on line 129. I'm going to copy that, and then let's go see where the image is. All right, so this has a class of page list, CCM block page list page entry thumbnail, and if I scroll up I can see it right there. So this is where the thumbnail is being generated, and all I'm going to do is to paste that code that I copied from here. All right, that's A tag. I'm going to paste it here, all right, around my PHP script, and here's where the PHP closes. I'll also close it with an A tag. All right, so let me explain again what I did just so we're not confused. This A tag is currently wrapping around my page title. I copied that A tag, and you notice that the A tag closes there. Okay, I copied the opening tag, and then I use that to wrap around the PHP script that is generating my image, and then I close the A tag right there. So I save this and I go back into Chrome and I'll refresh my page, and now my image is a link. Okay, so it's as simple as that. I just cheated a little bit by taking the code from somewhere else, but it works. Excuse me. All right, so next, let's see what we can do with this. All right, so this is the title, and I currently I wanted to look something like this, but I currently have it looking, I think it's just, I'm not sure exactly which HTML tag is being generated for that. It's just an A tag. Okay, so what I'm going to do is that I'm going to make that an H2, and I will just go back into my view.php, and right here again I see where the title is being generated. Okay, so there's a PHP script here, all right, on line 127, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to wrap an H2 around it, an H2 tag, and I'll do the same for the else statement. Okay, so here again, you need to be careful where you put these tags. So I'm going to put my H2 here, and then I'll put my H2 there before, so it's embedded within the A tag. All right, so I'm wrapping the PHP script that is echoing the title with an H2 tag, and I'm going to save, refresh my page, and now you can see it looks much bigger, and I can go into my CSS and apply some further styling. So as you can see here, when I inspect it, this now becomes an H2. Okay, so let's go into CSS and maybe apply some styling to that and see if we can get it to look like this. So simple thing that I want to do there, how do we target it? It's under CCM blog page list title, H2 will get it for me. So if I go into my CSS file, and I will need to bring in the class that they are using. And now that you know where all these things are in the view.php, if you wanted to, you could append it with your own class that is more user-friendly, more semantic for you to understand. But for purposes of this video, I'm just going to stick with what Concrete5 is giving to me. I'm not a big fan of the Concrete5 classes because they are super long, but I guess you guys can follow along okay. All right, so I'll say CCM blog page list title H2. And then let's see what else we need to do to that. So here's the H2, and we want to give it a font family of Helvetica. And we'll just say it should fall back on sans serif. Okay. And then I'm also going to call that again and say the A, because the H2 is embedded in an A. All right, so the color for the A, I'm just going to say should be black. Okay, well, let's refresh this, and then we'll probably come and see if we need to apply some more styles. Okay, so it's getting there. It has this effect when I mouse over. It creates this text decoration, and I can turn that off. Text decoration none. All right, and then I can also make this font weight bold. Okay, so it's getting close. All right, looks kind of like that. All right, now the other thing I want to do is to see if we can add a read more link. Okay, so for the read more, it's actually not something that we're going to do in the code at all. We have to do that right here in Concrete5. And to add the read more link, I'm going to go back to my page defaults. I'm going to go to pages and themes, and then I'm going to go to page types, and then for blog, let's go back to output, edit defaults. All right, so these are the default settings for when the blog previews are added, and I'll click on the edit button right there. Click on that, edit block, and then I'm going to scroll to where I see use different link than page name. I will say yes. Okay, and then for the link text, I will say read more. Okay, so use different link than page name. It was previously set to no. I'll say yes, and then say read more, and that's all I will need to do. The other thing, and probably I should have done this, is I may want to limit the number of characters that is previewed before it truncates, so you can turn that on here. All right, display truncated description, I would say yes, and how many characters? I'm just going to do about 250 characters and say save. All right, so whenever I create a new blog and I add a description, even if the description is super long, it's always going to cut off at 200 characters and say read more. All right, I'm going to commit my changes here, and then I'll go back to my page, and you notice that my read more button is there. Okay, so I guess the last thing that I want to do, or the last thing I need to show, is how do I add another block and then have the divider appear in between. All right, so to do that, I'm really just going to have to go to my sitemap, and I'm just going to create a new blog entry. And so we're going to pretend that we are adding a new blog post. So add page, remember you have to select blog entry for that. And then entry name, I'll say this is another post, public date and time, and short description. Let's see if we can find some more text. All right, so I'm just going to try and cheat a little bit by copying some text from here. Okay, so we'll just copy it up to there. That's probably more than 250 characters. And now I'm just going to paste the description in here. Okay, and I'm going to copy all of it, and we're going to sort this maybe under places, choose file. I'll choose the same photo again, and then I'll paste all my text in here, and I can even paste more if I wanted to. Okay, and then I'll say publish page. Okay, so my first blog post, this is another post. Let's go to our news page, and as you can see, it's added that at the top level, because remember when we set our defaults, we set this to be chronological and to display the most recent first, and so that's currently what it's doing. So you can see that by default, when I add a new blog post, that also has the image linked because I have edited that in my view.php, and as you can see, all the links is there. All right, but then it looks nothing like this yet. All right, so the divider is not there, and I will show you how to get that done. I've already taken the liberty to generate a code, and I'll show you how I got it. So if I inspect this, what you notice is that for every entry there is this div. So you can see that that blue overlay covers the entire post or that preview. So each post appears in a div with a class CCM blog page lists page entry horizontal, and that is really helpful. Okay, because if every post is generating that class, what I can do in my CSS is to call out that class and then apply some properties to it. So what I did is I applied a padding of 1em to the top and to the bottom of it. Okay, that's kind of what I was trying to do. A border bottom of 1 pixels, and then we'll deal with the padding right later. Actually, let me just comment that out and see what this looks like before. All right, so I've just created a border bottom of 1 pixel solid with light gray, and let's refresh this, and you can see now I have that divider in there. If I wanted to make that divider thicker, I could do that with no issues at all. Okay, so I can target that and style it any how I want it. One more thing that I noticed, this text is almost the same size. Actually, it is the same size as that. Maybe a more usable thing to do will be to just style it differently. And obviously, you could do this in your CSS. You could just go in there and give it a color, a different color or something. I'm not going to do that now, but you know how to target it if you just inspected it. Okay. So generally, the approach is that everything has a class. These class names are not very user friendly, but you could always go into your view.php and append the classes with something that is more friendly. All right, so I could really just go in here and call this block title, and if I save it, all right, and I refresh my page, you notice that every title has the div that says block title, and if I wanted to use that instead of the Concrete5 default, I could just change this to blog title, and it will still give me the same result, as you can see. Yeah, so you could do that if you wanted to. That's all up to you. Last thing I want to talk about is, so this currently scales nicely on mobile, and as it scales upwards to desktop, it's still in the single column. But what if you wanted these two previews to be side by side? Well, there are two ways to go about it. One way is just to keep using your CSS, and it's going to be under the CCM block page list, block page list page entry horizontal. Essentially, if you made this, give it like a 40% width, and you floated it left, it's probably going to do that for you. All right. But my preferred approach is to go look for this class in the view.php. All right, the CCM page list horizontal. So if I can find it, and that's it right there. And I can put my bootstrap classes in here. I can say column SM, or let us do this on desktop. All right, SM6. Okay, MD6 is what I did. And you notice that once I do an MD6, everything lines up side by side, and that is why I had this padding here, which I'm going to uncomment now, which generally is just adding a padding to the right side of each preview. Okay, so if you wanted to have it scale from 1 to 2 side by side, or even 3, or whatever you want to do, that will be up to you. Obviously, I'm working with a 6-column grid. I could decide to change that. I could decide to switch it up and make this 8 and make this 4, and it will be much larger on here. Okay, so you can do anything that you want to do. It's really my hope is that you understand how the view.php is working, and keep in mind this is an override, so we are not working on the actual view.php file, which is found in the concrete directory. We have generated an override by putting a page list in this directory. All right, So the rest of it should be super easy. If I wanted to style the colors or adjust the font sizes and the tracking or the leading, I could do all that. But I think you probably should have enough to be able to work around your styling of your blog if you wanted to. All right, thank you for watching, and I'll see you next time.